How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, I can.
Perfect.
Nice to
Awesome.
meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm so happy to be here today with you. I've heard a lot of your music on Instagram, and I originally heard you like in my reels or something. And
Yeah, that's how a lot of people found me.
yeah, dude, I heard Still Talking and I was like, this is incredible. It kind
Thank
of
you.
it scratched an itch in my brain of like really old Omar Apollo music, like his first
hmm
full album. So that was really cool. It was fun to make that connection. But yeah, so just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Javi, Javier Vera, but my artist name is Javi Vera. I just feel like it sounds better.
Mhm.
Um, but I have like a weird upbringing in terms of like musical taste.
Mhm.
Because it's a mix of a lot of things and a lot of things that like other kids didn't grow up around, especially because I feel like I'm in Maryland in a part that's not too diverse. So it's very different to what my friends were listening to. My parents grew me up on like salsa, Spanish rock, um, what else? Cumbia. Uh, oh, my brother also put me on alternative rock. So I just had a bunch of influences like just pouring into me, I guess, and it just kind of just
Mhm.
melted into one thing. And I also found like my mom, she loves music, but she loves like all types of music, and she still goes to concerts and whatnot. Um, so there was a mix of a lot of stuff. There was like Prince, Bon Jovi, um,
Nice.
yeah, there's just a lot. She loves music, and I think a lot of stuff I've heard and like have learned to love is because of her. Even if I was younger, I didn't really appreciate it as much as I do now.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
that's awesome.
yeah,
Just a little bit of everything. What
yeah.
kind of do you go to a lot of concerts yourself? Like, is that something that you and your mom ever bond over?
um, to be honest, I have gone to I think maybe less than like six concerts in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say, when I was younger, my mom would take me to a concert, like a band called Switchfoot. I think we went twice. But that was a an alternative rock band that my brother really loved at the time. This was like before 2010. And so we would go watch them, and it was cool because my mom really liked the band too. So it was not just my brother, it was also her. She was also very invested into it, and I thought that was pretty cool as well that she could bond over the same music that my brother liked, and then I also ended up liking that band as well.
Hmm.
What was the question?
No, I was just asking if you and your mom had ever like bonded over going to concerts together, like
I guess
that
when I was
kind of
younger,
love
but
music.
not when I got older now.
So I mean, you were kind of saying that your parents introduced you to a lot of older music. Did you kind of come into finding new music on your own? Like, was that something that you just started figuring out as you were growing up?
Um, yeah, I think okay, so this is hilarious now I think about it because I think in middle school I had like a big like this sounds so off, but like EDM, like I loved
I, I
EDM
support it
when I was
fully.
younger. It was like trap and like
Hmm.
remixes and all that, and I guess I can understand at the time because I was like younger. Those are like odd noises that like are loud and
Hmm.
sound really cool.
Yeah.
So, but then as middle school started like ending, I think I was like using Pandora. And I'm not quite sure what was like the first band that really got me like into like the indie scene, but I remember like I don't know the first one, but I do know like the first people that I like got introduced to were like Boy Pablo, Cosmo Pike, a little bit of Omar, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really quite I think I heard was it You Got Me the first song that I heard? Like I
Hmm.
thought it was okay. For the longest time I thought because everybody loves that song, I thought it was
Hmm.
okay. Um I'm trying Summer Saw, is that a band, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um Hers, um This Smiths as well, but like This Smiths isn't like, as new. That's like more of like,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
Yeah, I get what you were saying about "You Got Me" though, because I was actually talking about this with a friend this morning, and I was
Hmm.
like, I love "You Got Me," or like just even that song and like kind of his earlier music, but it's not my favorite. He has so much stuff that's a lot better than that. But yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
still like a
think.
classic.
Yeah, to me, it's like I think, especially younger me, I didn't like softer stuff like that,
Hmm.
like softer, like I guess like heart touching type stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm still,
yeah.
I think in a way I'm still like that because a lot of the stuff I make that I really, really like is all the upbeat stuff
Hmm.
that's like
Like the danceable
fast.
tunes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think
Hmm.
that's why Boy Pablo, for me, Boy Pablo was like the first band that I like really got into,
Hmm.
um, especially with those first EPs that they dropped.
Did you ever listen to any Kuko?
Oh yeah,
I love
I
Kuko
think
too.
yeah. Um, I like Coco a lot because he's another Hispanic American.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not gonna say like everything Coco makes is like I'm not gonna say like I'm a huge fan, but
Hmm.
I respect him a lot because he obviously experiments a lot with his music.
Hmm.
Um, he's I feel like he's always experimenting, and he's found a way to like make people like not make people appreciate, but like found a way to make whatever he makes appreciated by somebody. Like it's not like
Hmm.
he's making stuff just to continue appealing to the same audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's I don't know. He was really young when he started, and then he just kept going. It was just a
Mhm.
passion for it, and I admire that.
Yeah. I've seen him kind of progress in the same way that Omar has, where he started as like a very chill indie artist and then kind of progressed into his own sound. So I do
Yeah.
love that about him too. He's definitely experimented a lot. So yeah, he's one of my favorite artists too. But I want to talk about specifically your music now. So obviously Still Talking is the song that everybody loves, everybody knows, and that I'm
Yeah.
sure has gotten you a lot of fans. Um, what was that process like? How did you come into making that song?
Um, I do remember like the first night that I was looking for drum loops. It was a Tuesday night after college. I just remember being bummed out. I didn't want to do homework.
I
And
feel that.
I I was looking for drum loops and specifically like funky drum loops.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across the one drum loop that I used in the song. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is the one. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna find something better than this.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day I still get compliments on that drum loop that I found, like from producers like saying like that drum loop is so good.
It is.
Like I kind of heard it and I just like instantly knew I had to
Mm-hmm.
use it. Um, and the chords just kind of like I normally start with the drums and then I go into the chords
Mm-hmm.
with the guitar. And I just remember I was sitting on my bed over there and I was just like playing around and I found that and I'm like I'm not gonna make it complicated. It's gonna be like because it's mainly two chords.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just like, this sounds really funky. And then as soon as I made that, I think like 30 minutes later after I like I sat down, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep this as the chord progression. I made
Mm-hmm.
the bass line, and that's when I knew like, yeah, this one is gonna be really good. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just a really funky bass line. And I think that's the first time I made a bass line that I really, really like.
Well, it sounds awesome altogether.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful song. I'm sure, like I said, you get that a lot, but it really is. But
Oh, appreciate
lyrically,
it.
did you like create all of that first and then start to write to it? Or do you usually like start with lyrics that you had kind of in the
Mm,
back of your brain?
I think all the lyrics I write really depict what I'm kind of feeling the day that I made it. Um, which is funny because like even it's I mean I'll feel like that the day I wrote it, but then like the day that it comes out, like when it's released or when people like listen to it, like I don't hold those thoughts anymore. Like that's already
Mm-hmm.
like it's way gone. This is why I always tell like people I like that also make music and my friends that like I'm always like ahead. It always feels like I'm ahead of that era or that time I made that song.
Mm-hmm. So those
And I guess
lyrics
that's
are
just
still
how it
very
should be.
personal to you.
Um, I guess yeah, because I can understand what I was feeling when
Hmm.
I made it, but at the same at the same time, it's like I kind of had like that's how I let go. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just writing stuff down and
Yeah.
singing it.
That's so cool though, because those songs are kind of like a journal entry or something, like a little
Yeah, that's
reminder
how I
of a
think of it.
specific place you were in time. So that's really cool. And how, so Still Talking came later. So how did you get into music in the first place? Like what made you want to start making your own music and releasing it?
Um, I think this is like a process that like took many years. I'm not gonna lie. Like even
Hmm.
though I started actually like making music like a year ago, I think it was always in me. I always had a friend that asked me like if I could do anything in this world, like what it would be, and I would just be like, in another world, I'm like a good musician or something like that, you know.
Hmm.
But I never committed to it. I was always too nervous, and I was always like, too afraid to put my stuff out there. Um, but it was years. Like I started actually getting into music in the second grade. Um, because I had a brother that played guitar, my dad played guitar, and I guess seeing them a lot was like, man, that's kind of like a cool skill to have.
Hmm.
And I just asked my dad, can I get a guitar? And he kind of just surprisingly just kind of got me one. Um, and I still have that first guitar. It's somewhere in the house. I don't know where, but it's a tiny acoustic guitar like made for a kid.
Hmm.
And that's where I pretty much like started. And I think a year or two later, I got my first electric, which now I gave to my friend. A really cheap electric, but I started with that. And I think that I was in second grade, and then I guess like 2 years later, I started playing for my church. And then from then, I started playing for multiple churches, and yeah, and then I think a year and a half ago, I kind of stopped playing for the church. I was like, what if I just start making my own stuff? Because I know, like, obviously, I can't be playing funk in the church. So I was like, I kind of just want to make my own stuff now.
Hmm. Do you think like, well, actually, I there's a lot of the best artists that I've heard all have a very specific sound. Like they have a distinguishable element about their music, and I think that there is that in your music. How is that something that's been like intentional, whether it be just the guitar, like is it the style of guitar that you
Um,
use in your songs? Is that something that you do consciously, or just it comes naturally to the music making process for you?
I do think I have like a. Sorry if I don't like answer this. Like,
No, you're okay. Yeah.
um, I get what you mean by like there's a distinct sound. Uh, I think a lot of the way I play guitar is influenced by like the music my parents gave me, like showed me. Uh, whether like in the Latin music, like the fast strumming and like the way I strum, I think is very distinct because it's very fast in a way, and I think that's kind of what I aim for. I'm sorry, what was the question? I'm
I was
getting
just, no, you're totally okay. If something doesn't make sense, you can totally like not answer it.
I
But
just keep talking and I get
no,
off
no,
track and I
no, but
forget the question.
I feel like you are answering the question though. I was asking just like where if you consciously had the style that you had going into making music.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it comes really down to the guitar
Hmm.
and because that's like the my main instrument. That's like what I grew up on, and that's like the first instrument I grab when I'm like, I'm bored or I just need some kind of therapy or something. Like that's what I go to, and like it's the I guess everybody has their like go-to chords,
Hmm.
and mine just happens to be like a certain set of chords, and that I learn how to tie them together on my own. And I think everybody has their own way of like strumming the guitar, the embellishments, the mute. Like there's like I sound like I'm geeking out over it, but like it's I think everybody just has their own thing and their own way they grew up learning. Um, and some of the stuff is just natural. It's not even just like it's not like you were purposefully taught it and you learned it like that. No, it's like and that on top of that, I wasn't I never had music classes. It was all self-taught. So the like some things that are like technically wrong, I guess, are what kind of add to your
Hmm.
character to like,
It makes it
it's kind of
unique.
identify. Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was if you took any lessons or classes or studied it at all. But it makes it even
No.
more original and unique that you didn't and you're like coming up with all of this yourself. I think honestly sometimes music is better when you don't have formal training because then it just gives more room to be unique
Yeah,
and not
I
have to
think
like listen.
that's a big like a lot of the artists that I like didn't really have formal training, and
Hmm.
I think that's why that encouraged me to start making my own music. Also, I never took like classes because I never thought I would take music this seriously.
Hmm.
Um, I was really like, especially when I was younger, I was focused on soccer and martial arts and all this. So like, there wasn't time for music class, and when it just felt like a hobby, you know.
Hmm. I'm curious though. You said you were in college. What are you studying right now?
I'm a I'm a comp sci major,
I would not have
but
expected that, but that's great. Yeah.
yeah, that so I mean, it is really difficult of a like the courses, and it's really demanding.
Hmm.
Um, but that's what my father, you know, that's what he does. That's what a lot of my cousins do. It's really weird now to think about it because it's like a lot of my cousins, like my cousins, and my dad, they all do computer science and they play guitar. And my brother, he doesn't do computer science. He's a physical therapist, but he plays guitar as well. I don't know. It's just a lot of
Runs in
guitar
the
playing and
family.
coding.
That's
Yeah.
great though. That's really cool though. I love that all of your family has been able to bond over that and like it's kind of
Yeah.
been passed down to some extent. Um, I'm also curious if you had the opportunity to work with any of your favorite artists, who would you pick to work with on a song?
I feel like I should have prepared for this question and I didn't.
You
Um,
could say multiple answers too. I know it's kind of a stumper.
to work with is like even scarier. Like put it like simply, I guess that's like to work with is like a very scary thing because like I guess you're always gonna be intimidated by somebody that's like
Yeah.
more known, like has way more records, has done A, B, and C. Um, to work with.
Or even just to like have a conversation with. It doesn't have to be specifically
Okay,
music if that's too much
yeah.
pressure.
Um, I get yeah because I'm just thinking like to work with would be like I would feel like I'm taking away from their creativity and I would just kind of just want to
Hmm.
watch them work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, because I think in a lot of cases, like songs and the way you make music is very personal. That's why
Hmm.
like I'm just very hesitant. So just to have a conversation with,
Yeah, if you were going to sit down and have coffee with any artist, who would you want to sit down and have a conversation with?
I would definitely want like an artist that I guess understands what it's like to not have like not be in a scene where there's a lot of music because I'm in. So I guess Omar Apollo would be like the person I would want a conversation with. Um, because he also didn't like Maryland is just not great for music. Like this is not
Mhm.
the place you really want to be for music. And it kind of is like you got to be bold and like kind of vulnerable to like be able to put your music out there, especially like to everybody that knows you around here. Like it's not that normal. I don't, there's not a big music scene here, and I think he understands that best. Um, so I would just like I would like that, and I know like they would probably have like he would have like a words of encouragement or like
Mhm.
stories to tell that could be similar. because like there's a bunch of artists that I really like and would like to have a conversation with, but I don't think I could relate as much to them because they had it differently.
Hmm. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he's from Indiana too, which I mean, I don't know what the music scene is like in Indiana, but I'm assuming it's kind of the same boat where it feels like there's
Yeah,
just not
no,
a lot going on.
they say there's not a lot of the music scene isn't really that big. I've heard it's like slightly growing, but I
Good,
don't think
yeah.
it's gonna be like LA.
Yeah, I feel like there's, especially in the US, there's just like very specific cities and states that you need
Yeah,
to be in for like the biggest music scenes and the things that like everybody's participating in. And I hope there comes a time where there's another just big wave of new artists and it just kind of takes the world by storm like it did in the
yeah.
70s and 80s and then in the 2000s.
Even though it
Yeah.
is very different today,
Hmm.
the way music is,
Yeah.
because you can literally like you can be in the middle of nowhere and blow up because
Hmm.
of TikTok or like
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah.
or things like that.
It's such a unique time to be making music in, to be, I
Yeah,
mean, to be on the internet at all, to put yourself out there. It's an incredible time because it's so easy for people to find you.
yeah, and
So,
the good thing about it is like the not to cut you off, but like
no, no,
the
you're fine.
um I was talking about this with my sister-in-law the other day. Like there is no labels that, you kind of cut out the middleman with social media because you essentially put something online, uh whether it was recorded in a studio or not, or
Hmm.
if it had like money behind it or whatnot. And if it didn't, it doesn't matter because it it all depends on if the people like it. If people like it,
Hmm.
it'll get pushed. People will like
Yeah.
it. People will share it, and I really think that's how it should be because the the bear the barrier of entry is gotten lower, and some people see that as an issue, but I see that as like it's great because there's people that have great ideas and just
Hmm.
you know they don't have the funds or the sources to put their ideas out there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely diminished like the hierarchy with the people that have money to be able to pay a distributor, to be able to pay
yeah,
whoever to like get their music out and heard. You don't have to have money to download TikTok or Instagram or
yeah,
whatever. So it's just an awesome resource. And I love, especially like having this conversation with someone I found through that. So it's just a really special thing. And I'm glad that we have access to those things now. So
yeah.
yeah. Well, that's about all that actually wait. Outside of music, what other like hobbies do you have? What other things do you like to do?
um I think
Broad
it's all
question.
really yeah, I think it's all really changed because of music. um
Mm-hmm.
I used to be really into soccer, and music has kind of just overtaken everything because I'm like
Mm-hmm.
becoming obsessed. But I work out occasionally, and I think that's pretty much like yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just go to school now.
Well, that's great though, because it shows how much you really love music and how much that
Yeah.
is like has taken over your thought process and stuff. So that's
Oh,
really
and
awesome.
soccer,
And do you
soccer.
still play soccer now?
No, I don't. I don't anymore. Yeah, no, I don't. Music took over.
Well, either way, it's still, I mean, music is mental exercise, so same difference. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for chatting with me today.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for having me.
Thank
I
you. It
love
was
what
really
you
fun.
do. It
Thank
really is cool.
you.
Like people like supporting smaller
Hmm.
artists. It really is
That's
really
my
cool.
goal. I love, it just makes me so happy to see people that are making music themselves independently, not like I was saying, going through big money
Yeah.
labels or whatever to get their music out there and just doing it themselves. So it's inspiring for me, and I hope it was inspiring for you as well.
Yeah, it was. It was. Thank you so
All right.
much. Oh,
Yeah, thank
shoot.
you. What? You good?
No, my phone is about to die, but
Oh, okay. All right. Bye.
all right.